welcome. Thank you so much. I am Rachel Killion. I'm on the Attleboro Historic Preservation Society. I'm the program coordinator. Technically, I think that's my title. So we try and put through programs together throughout the year. Most of our programs are free. This particular program is in cooperation with the Attleboro Cultural Council and the Mass Cultural Council grant that we received from them. So this cemetery was founded in 1865, and it was originally started with 10 acres that was purchased from Philip Brady. The cemetery itself was sculpted a little bit, so you'll notice that it's hilly, and we're gonna just be mindful of that. Woodlawn and North Purchase, our friends that were lost in North Purchase, they are one cemetery group today. So the North Purchase is founded years later. This cemetery is fairly full, but they do still have 1 or 2 interments a year. Many of those, or most of those, are cremated remains that are buried with family members. So they don't actively sell plots in here anymore, but there are still some family deeds and connections to those families that if you can prove that you are part of this family and you have access to the deed, then you can still be buried here. So they just most recently, a couple of weeks ago, had some cremations interred. We were discussing that I am not a native Attleboroan, but again, a lot of the names and places I'll try and describe as best I can. So if you've driven through town, then a lot of these places and people will be familiar to you. But this first one is L.G. Balfour. So Lloyd Balfour, maybe Balfour is a name you know from town, or you know it from your class ring in high school or college. But L.G. Balfour is not a native to Attleboro. He didn't actually even live in Attleboro. He lived in Norton, but he is buried here along with his second wife. But the Balfour Company, so behind the Attleboro Public Library, that park that's behind along the river, that's the Balfour Park. And that was the Balfour factory for many years. So he starts off in the jewelry industry doing fraternity pins and jewelry, and he's a traveling salesman. And that brings him to Attleboro, which is where he sets up his business. We won't be on this noisy side for long. And as we crest over, it gets very quiet, and you realize how lovely this cemetery is. But it's, I think, a very understated tomb for someone who had so much money. So he and his second wife are buried here. So here's a lovely image of Lloyd. They did not have any children, nor did he have any children with his first wife. And so he was, again, very philanthropic. So the L.G. Balfour Foundation gives out lots of money in grants. They specialize in Attleboro-related grants, education-related grants, and fraternity grants. And again, the Balfour football games, the Balfour trophies, a lot of people recognize that Balfour name from football. But L.G. and his wife are buried here. Bally is what people called him. I don't know if I knew him well enough to call him Bally, but I just, it's beautiful, but very, very simple.